All right, let's talk about Cinderella. It's a story we all think we know, right? The one we grew up with. But what if I told you that the fairy tale you love is hiding some pretty big secrets? We're going to peel back the layers today, and trust me, you might be surprised by what we find.
Go on, picture it. That image that pops into your head is probably the Disney version. The sweet, kind girl in her rags, the fairy godmother showing up with a bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, that pumpkin turning into a carriage, and of course, the glass slipper that changes everything. It's the ultimate feel-good story where being good pays off.
But what if the story you think you know is all wrong? In the original tale, there's no fairy godmother. Instead, when the slipper doesn't fit, the stepsisters, on their mom's advice, actually cut off their own toes and heels to cram their feet in, soaking the slipper in blood. And it gets worse. In the end, magical doves fly down from the sky and peck their eyes out.
Yeah. That's a pretty shocking difference, isn't it? One version is this sweet, forgiving story made for the French royal court, and the other is a brutal, violent revenge fantasy from German folklore. That contrast, it isn't just some historical fun fact. It's a genuine mystery. And solving it is the key to understanding what this story is really trying to tell us.
This right here, this is our Rosetta Stone. The key differences, where the magic comes from, where the slipper is made of, and especially how it ends for the stepsisters, these aren't just minor details. They're clues, huge clues that unlock the hidden beliefs and fears of the people who first told these stories.
So, how do we crack this code? We're going to borrow a really cool tool from literary scholars, analytical lenses. The best way to think about them is like putting on a pair of special glasses. Each pair lets you see a completely different layer of meaning that's been hiding in the story all along, messages about gender, class, and even psychology that you'd normally miss.
First up, we're putting on our feminist glasses. With these, we're going to look at Cinderella not just as a romance, but as a powerful piece of cultural programming. Basically, an instruction manual for a woman's place in the world. So, what does this lens actually do? It asks a really simple but powerful question. How does this story teach you what it means to be a man or a woman? It's all about spotting the power dynamics and the unspoken rules of society that are baked into the narrative.
Okay, so let's apply it. What are the big lessons here? What kind of woman is Cinderella, really? And why is she the one who gets the happily ever after?
Well, think about it. Cinderella is celebrated for being patient, gentle, and able to suffer without a single complaint. Her escape isn't something she fights for, it's something that's given to her, first by magic, then by a rich guy. This whole narrative is so potent that it actually led to a real psychological concept called the Cinderella complex, this unconscious desire to be rescued, something that's born from stories that teach women to just wait for a prince.
Through this lens, the royal ball stops looking like a fairy tale romance and starts looking like an economic transaction. It's a marketplace where young women compete for the only real career path available to them, marriage. Cinderella's magical makeover is all about making her the most desirable product there, and her entire worth is judged on her looks. I mean, the prince decides to marry her without even having a real conversation.
Okay, let's switch glasses. Now we're putting on the Marxist lens. This one isn't focused on gender. It's all about money, class, and power. It sees stories as battlegrounds between the haves and the have-nots. So this lens looks at a story and asks, who has the power and who's powerless? It looks at the economics of the situation and questions whether the story is trying to support the existing class system or tear it down. Seen this way, Cinderella's house becomes this perfect little model of a capitalist society. The stepmother and sisters, they're the bourgeoisie, the ruling class. They own everything, they do nothing. Cinderella, she's the proletariat, the worker. She owns nothing but her own labor, and she's forced to give it away for free. Her very name, linking her to the dirty cinders, isn't just a cute nickname. It's a brand, marking her as part of the exploited working class. And this is why those two different endings are so crucial. Perrault, writing for the rich aristocrats, gives us a story of bourgeois forgiveness. Cinderella marries up, forgives her abusers, and even helps them get rich too. See, the system works, the status quo is great. But the grim version, the one from the peasant tradition? Oh no, that is a fantasy of proletarian revenge. The ruling class isn't forgiven, they are violently destroyed. It's this raw, satisfying wish for revolutionary justice. All right, for our third and final lens, we're going deep inside the human mind.
The psychoanalytic approach reads stories like they're dreams, full of symbols that represent our unconscious fears, our secret desires, and all our hidden conflicts.
This way of thinking comes from Sigmund Freud, and the basic idea is that the characters in a story aren't really separate people. Instead, you should see them as externalized parts of a single person's psyche acting out an internal drama for us all to see.
At its heart, Cinderella is the story of a deeply dysfunctional family. You have the father, who is weak and fails to protect his own daughter. This creates a huge psychological wound. The stepmother then steps into that void as this cruel, oppressive force. So in this reading, the prince isn't just a husband. He is the idealized replacement for that failed father, and marrying him is what allows Cinderella to finally resolve her trauma and become a whole person.
To take this even further, we can use Freud's famous model of the mind. He saw our psyche as this constant battle between three forces. You've got the id, which is your primitive, selfish desires. Then there's the superego, which is your moral conscience, your inner angel. And finally, there's the ego, which is the mediator trying to balance it all out in the real world.
Now, look how perfectly the characters in Cinderella map onto this. The stepmother and sisters, they are the id, completely unchecked, all greed, envy, and I want it now. The magical helper, whether it's a godmother or some doves, is the superego, the force of morality and order. And Cinderella? She is the ego, caught right in the middle, just trying to survive a cruel world while holding on to her values. Her final victory is really the victory of a balanced, healthy self.
So, after looking through these three very different lenses, where does that leave us? What have we learned? Well, for one, we've definitely seen that this simple fairy tale isn't so simple at all.
We basically uncovered three completely different stories hiding inside the same plot. Through the feminist lens, it's a guide to how women should behave. Through the Marxist lens, it's a dramatic story about class struggle. And through the psychoanalytic lens, it's a symbolic journey toward becoming a whole person. And the coolest part is, these readings don't cancel each other out. They just add layers and layers of richness to the story.
And you know, looking at a story this way doesn't ruin it. It doesn't take away the magic. If anything, it reveals a much deeper, more powerful kind of magic that's hidden in the story itself. The magic of how stories reflect our societies, our power struggles, and the deepest parts of our own minds.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Now that you have these tools, what other stories from your childhood might be hiding some fascinating secrets in plain sight? Think about Snow White, or The Little Mermaid, or any other tale you thought you knew. What are they really trying to tell you?